start. I think we're ready. I think we're going live. Yep, it's on.
Assalamu alaikum and welcome to the Mad Mamluks podcast. My name is Sim. Along with me are my co-hosts, Shaykh Amir.
Assalamu alaikum.
And my man Mort.
Assalamu alaikum. I love that intro, by the way. Full of energy.
Oh, thank you, bro. I've been trying.
Yeah,
I've been
hype.
trying to, lift up the old diaphragm. That's
You
what they
said
say.
it from the chest, bro.
Say it from your chest.
Yeah,
just
you
like
meant it,
Kevin Hart says it,
So that's what he meant.
Welcome to the Mad Mom. You just said it like we're here.
Shabab, before we get started, let's help us out on patreon.com/the Mad Mamluks. Any little contribution helps wherever you can. However small your contribution is, we greatly appreciate it. And make sure you click on the old like button and click the subscribe button if you haven't done so already. And throw a comment in the comment section related to your thoughts on this week's episode. Before we get the show started, I want to send a quick piece of condolences to our brothers in Australia who lost Shaykh Ismail Wahwa, who was a Islamic activist who worked tirelessly for Islam. He was jailed in Jordan for a while a few years ago. I want those brothers to know that he's in our thoughts, and your family is in our thoughts all the way across the world. I know you may not have received condolences from a wide array of Muslim organizations, and sometimes a lot of this work that we do goes unnoticed, and the work happens in the shadows without any credit. But that's what we sign up for. So my deepest condolences. I pray for his maghfirah and that the highest status in Jannah, and for the patients and for your family, inshallah. Secondly, Mufti Abu Lait's mom passed away just yesterday, I believe. Our deepest condolences to him and his family. We pray that she's forgiven and granted the highest status in paradise.
And also Sheikh Hamza Maqbool, right? His mother died recently.
Sheikh Hamza Maqbool, mom also passed away recently. We send our condolences to Sheikh Hamza, and we pray for the maghfirah of his mom and the highest Jannah for her as well. So how's everyone doing? Assalamu alaikum. Sorry to start off the show like that, but
it's all good, man. Sometimes you have
to. It's a good reminder, right? Yeah. Time is limited.
Yeah, man.
So enjoy your parents, make khidmah of them. Take the advantage of the barakah that you have when they're around, because it's not always here.
You're right.
So if you have parents, make sure you spend good time with them and take advantage.
Yeah. Let's go ahead and dive right into our subject, because we have a lot of things to discuss, right?
Yes, sir. We might run out of time.
Yeah, we may very well. So, basically, the ulama woke up from a slumber, and they were
who threw the water?
They decided to write a letter to the, and I guess an open letter, where they want to address the LGBTQ issue, and wanted to make a statement where a number of signatories from all across the North American continent sign on, and it seems like they got a lot of people to co-sign the statement, and the letter is called Navigating Differences. You can go ahead and read it at navigatingdifferences.com. We'll go ahead and share it on the screen as best as we can while we analyze and dissect this statement. So let's start off.
I have a quick question before we even start off. So do you think that when you're saying they were in a slumber? Don't you think that it's been talked about for a long time? So, like, what do you mean by the intro?
Well, basically, I'm just kind of being a kind of a Grinch, I guess. I was hoping for something like this a number of years ago.
I think a lot of people were hoping for that. Yeah.
You know, I think we as a community are so slow. We wait for everyone to go forward first before we take the first step. There's so many Christian activists and stuff who have already gone forward, and I mean, you see like this kind of trend among the Andrew Tates of the world who try to say, oh, you know, Muslims, you know, they don't take no crap. It's kind of not true. We do.
I think theologically we don't. Meaning, theoretically, I should say we don't. The texts don't, and there are a few people who've always talked about it, but the general mass is yes. But do you think so? People have been talking about it piecemeal here and there, even from the beginning, right? In all fairness, but what you're talking about is a whole legion or whole squadron of scholars that say something in unison and finally put something out. That's what you're referring to as a slumber, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think it goes without saying that this problem we're kind of drowning now. Did the issue the matter where we saw the insurgents over the past 3 years since I would say after the Pulse nightclub shooting in Florida is when a lot of this stuff really started taking off onto a next level, where Muslim organizations and everyone just didn't want to deal with it, didn't want to go near the subject. I mean, these are the good ones, right? Some other ones went, you know, in a different direction and, you know, try to say, you know what, maybe there's some room in Islam for the homosexual acts and stuff. So, it's taken some time, and alhamdulillah, you know, we've done it. It's on paper now, and the statement's out there. So,
when he said slumber, I can't help but think of an analogy. So the analogy that I think about is, do you remember being on Jamaat for like 40 days, and then like when they wake you up for Fajr, like the way they're massaging your feet, and you pretend like you're still asleep for like 30-40 minutes until you finally have to get up. Like you're awake, but they think you're sleeping, so they can still massage you. That's kind of like what was going on here. Like all these ulama they knew, but they were awake. They weren't sleeping, but everybody was stroking their egos and, yeah, you guys are great.
And some of them were playing a balancing act.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But they were doing it because they were saying, oh, they had the crowd, people were supporting them, there was political affiliations, there was even the community that was around was very pleased with them for the most part, right? And then I believe that it wasn't just on their own accord that they came out and said, we've got to clarify the matter. I probably hold a different position than you guys on this. I think it's because of people, and hate him or love him, but it's people like Daniel Hakikachu that shine a spotlight, and as people may disagree with his content or the way he portrays it, but there's definitely some truth to what he's saying in terms of the ambiguity and the alliances, the unholy alliances, and I think people woke up to, were speaking about it. They may not agree with him, but they understood.
Many people are forced to reply
where he was coming. No.
Oh, before Daniel, it was us. After the Pulse nightclub bombing, it was the Mad Mamluks were the only organization who was talking about this kind of stuff publicly and warning people that, hey, look, and people were saying that, oh, you guys are blowing things out of proportion, that it's not the reality like that on the ground. Now, yes, did he does he have a much more wider audience, etc.? Yes, of course he does.
So what I didn't want to just toot our own horn, but I'm saying groups like, Daniel has the loudest voice right now, but there were many people who spoke, but they didn't have the attention, right? And they were not. It's not the same when scholars say it, but people like Daniel and in groups like that help to shine the spotlight. And here's what you have to realize. These scholars are in certain positions and have the influence because people give them the attention. And they're able to control the narrative that way. But when people are being influenced by something else, it's taking away from these influence of these scholars, and they have to then reassess and say what's happening here. And that forces them to have to make things very clear, because there were real questions going on about, hey, does this imam actually believe this? Why are they platforming someone that has these views? This is not the first time. Oh, well, what are they actually writing about in other areas? Oh, well, what's their really view on this? And they began to start doubting the orthodoxy of scholarship. No, I'm saying the ones that are in the public eye. I'm not talking about traditional scholars. They're not. I'm saying the ones that have the limelight. People were beginning to say, hey, I can see why people are criticizing. It's going over the line, right? There's a little too much bending over backward here. And I think that forces them to have to come out. Because ideally, I would say, I'm going to assume, I don't think that they would have liked to have to put this out. They would like to have assumed that people have to assume about them that they don't have these views. But I think it puts them in a unique position, because they're not just addressing the Muslim community now. They're addressing their politician friends, their academic friends. They're addressing. It's open for the whole entire world to see. And I think a lot of times they separate that. A lot of these people in positions, they separate their life with their community, their life with their politicians, friends, their life with their academic friends, and now this is kind of one that everyone gets to see.
Yeah, but do you think it's only because of their following and their egos that they would, I mean, in all fairness, that this was put out, or do you feel that it was like, now, it's getting too far and we can't as a responsibility level? I'm pretty sure there's a huge level of feeling of responsibility too, right?
I don't think it's all entirely ego, but I certainly do think that they were recognizing that their scholarship was being questioned. Absolutely. And it's sad to say this, but for many of these people, this is their livelihood. If they can't get people to listen to them, their YouTube channel is shut down, their fundraising goes down, their NGOs go down, and they're left to doing what?
Look, we talk about this all the time. When we talk about politics and stuff, we see America building a coalition, right? Whenever they're doing some kind of action abroad, a military action, they build a coalition, right? And so when we pull that into a very micro level, right, that's a macro level, and when we look at the human beings in smaller groups, no one likes to be the black sheep, right? There's a few idiots like the Madam Luke's, man, maybe Safina Society and stuff. They're not idiots, but I love Dr. Shadi. But there's a few of us that don't mind being the black sheep, right? We don't care what people think, and that's fine. That everyone's cut in their own way, but in order to get people to start moving, you have to build. You have to find some fundamental levels of agreement, right? And then you have to build a statement like this based on the most basic levels of what we all agree on, right? Yeah. Now, I know there's many people who want the statement to be much more bigger, and we're going to discuss it. We're going to go through the statement much more in depth, but I know people wanted it to be much more, and wanted to have more teeth and
more
and
things
bang,
like that.
Yeah. Ultimately, I co-sign, not literally, but I agree with the statement that it's a good starting point, and it's much more better than what we had in the past, and which was nothing. And I think it is a step forward. I don't know if it was because of Daniel or anyone else. Maybe it just happened independently. When you read the language, and you see some of the signatories, it seems pretty much that a big personality was behind writing it. And in my estimation, and this is just a guess, I think it was Dr. Hatem Al-Hajj, who could kind of get people together like that, a big personality like that, who a lot of scholars all across the country look up to. That's my guess. I think he was the primary architect behind this. And kind of looking at the language, it looks like similar to his writing, but I can't be certain.
So I think maybe we could start with the positives of it.
Yeah.
Right? I'm not, by no means am I just saying this document is useless. No, I think there's a lot of positives in it.
So right. Let's go ahead and share it, and we can maybe dissect some of the areas, because I know it's a pretty lengthy document. We don't want to. Do we want to go through the whole thing?
No. I just want to highlight the summary of the good things, because that's really what it is. So essentially, it starts off saying that it talks about basically that human beings are not. I mean, Muslims can't question the law of Allah, which is a good verse of the Quran. And it says that to not go into sins and to avoid doing sins, and not to make halal haram and haram halal. It goes on to say that it clarifies the position that same-sex and homosexuality are explicitly forbidden in the Quran, and these are sins. And it goes on to mention that even the idea of sex changes with the intention of changing one's gender simply based on feelings and not medical reasons, actual medical reasons, such as maybe born with both body parts, right? It says just based on feelings, it's impermissible, right? It mentions all these things very clearly positioned. And it also mentions that it does highlight the fact that there are, quote unquote, Muslims who identify as Muslims and are trying to reinterpretate the Quran, these verses about Qawm Lut and things like, and try to fit it into the new narrative. And they are very clear that we cannot do this. We cannot reinterpret the Quran.
Yeah. And we will not support that.
And will not, exactly. They're very clear about that. And they're very clear that not only will they not support it, but in their view, it's irreconcilable that you could have that position and still believe in the Quran. Meaning that it's very clear the language of the Quran is, by consensus, is that these behaviors and these actions are not compatible within the Sharia and Islam. So they were very clear about what the position of normative Islam, orthodoxy in general, is about towards this idea. And it also makes a distinction between action versus thoughts and like struggling with something, which is also important. They also mentioned a very important thing about the right of people's privacy, what they do not disclose in public and call to in public versus what they do in private.
Yes, sir.
They made a lot of good points in terms of that, meaning that we're not here to be on a witch hunt. We're not here to invade people's privacy. We're not here to look for people's faults, but we're here to basically tell people what the position of the Quran and what Allah revealed in the Quran is about this particular scenario. And I think it did a very good job in
making a position,
methodically breaking down the approach that we look at.
Methodically breaking down, but also stating a position with bold and with very clear.
Yeah, I mean, I think one who reads it can, without a doubt, understand that the people who signed this are unanimous in believing and understanding that the Quran is against homosexuality. Islam does not tolerate it. Islam does not condone sex changes on mere whims. Islam does not say that you can change things based on your feelings. Islam is incompatible. They're very clear about this language here. And I think that was the positive. So I think anyone reading it certainly gets the idea that the authors and the signatories are in agreement that Islam is totally against this LGBTQ agenda.
Yeah.
And it's not compatible with Islam. I think that's and that's a very big thing, because I think that was what a lot of people were concerned about. What is the position? How clear are they going to be about the ideas that are floating around? That there's reinterpretation, possibly there's room for a sub-community within Islam, or maybe these ayat of Surah Qawm Lut are not actually what they are.
Yeah.
So I think
because that would have been very lengthy too.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think they were just very clear about what the position of Islam is without overwhelming the reader with evidences and 50 differences, and they were very clear about that. So I think it's unambiguous that these people, in attempt to represent normative Islam, which I think they've done, the opinion of it, I think that was done very well.
No, I agree.
Well, so what the document doesn't do, that many people are disappointed about, was that it doesn't call for a wider change, a wider societal change, where it separates Muslims as the ones who will be the ambassadors for change in this country, that we are the ones who will bring the change to this country. It doesn't call for, it doesn't condemn these movements and these various LGBT related ideologies, right? It's not giving the community, the Muslim community, a way forward where they can tackle or address some of these issues. How does a mosque address these issues? How does a family unit address some of these really important issues with someone?
But just playing devil's advocate, wouldn't that make it very lengthy then in order to do that?
Yeah, and I'm gonna push back a little bit and say, don't you think that I don't think it was the purpose of the document. The purpose of the document was to make their stance clear about what...
I know what he's saying, though.
Yeah. No, I think he's right, because if there's a problem, you have to present the Islamic solution. Yeah. And I understand, I agree with that. But I just don't feel like this is the document to lay out those steps.
Yeah. Well, maybe you don't lay out the steps, but you clearly enjoin in the good and forbid the evil, right? Yeah. You clearly and emphatically say in no uncertain terms or ambiguous terms that, we as Muslims, not as a religious-based community where you're part of, the Christian coalition and the Jewish coalition. No, we as Muslims, this is what we hold. We don't need your affiliation. We don't need your green light to make change in this country. Mm-hmm. We will step forward and offer you the solution. Mm-hmm. It doesn't have that kind of oomph that a Muslim should bring.
It's more of a position of negotiation. That, okay, we're with everybody else on this since we're here too. Yeah. And it's kind of like we're just kind of, we want to be cool. We're just letting you know what we feel. We're cool with how you feel, but this is how we feel. Yeah. And I think my problem is kind of similar to what Sim was saying, was that I believe that when it came to addressing how the Muslim community views this and the community in relationship to legislation and policymakers, I think that's where the ambiguity really lies.
Yeah, we'll touch upon that. I just want to say one thing based on what he said, because that's going to be the next portion of the segment. Yeah. So I agree with you 100%. And as Mort stated, there has to be a solution that's given. Right now, we're kind of saying we're like these people, and we want the right to not have backlash because of our religious beliefs in Islam and all the other faith groups like us. We want to be able to talk about what Allah and Muhammad ﷺ says about this lifestyle without having any backlash and having any ramifications or repercussions. I get it. But that's still not a level up of where Islam is supposed to be. I get it. And I wish that was there. And the reason why that wish that you have, well, you were saying that it's a wish because that this position and this document should have come out a long time ago, right? Based on that, it's like a snowball effect that we've waited all these years for something like this to happen, and we just see something very basic, like somebody said. And look, I'm not agreeing or disagreeing. We're just here to tell you what we've heard and to give our point of view on this, right? Some people said, look, this is what the far right has been saying for a long time. This just seems like a far right document.
Not even the far right, the right,
not the far right. I'm sorry, the right is saying, based on their religious, Christian, evangelical, whatever beliefs, of what Christianity says about homosexuality. Yes. As far as Amr bil Ma'ruf and Nahy anil Munkar, the beautiful thing is that just stating the Quran based in a position is Amr bil Ma'ruf and Nahy anil Munkar to show what position you are. I think, now based on all fairness to the ones who wrote this, right? I know that they feel, or I have a feeling, that they're going through this phase of we're into this pretty deep. We need to get back to the basics just to give everybody our position, because that's going to be a strong statement, and I think it is.
That's exactly what I said in the beginning. Yeah. In the beginning, I said in order to build a coalition, you need to have a foundational understanding among the signatories, right? You can't go all out and expect everyone to, with the boldness that I want, right? The boldness of other popular Muslim individuals who would want that level of boldness. You're not going to get everyone to sign up with that then, You're right. So that's, I mean, so
you're playing a balancing act.
You're contradicting. I'm not contradicting myself. I'm saying I want this boldness. I wish, the statements that you would envision the Sahaba and the Prophet ﷺ when they would address the Meccans with that boldness, that confidence that, hey, we are the upholders of justice and mercy. Yeah. We are the ones who bring truth to this world. We don't see that anymore.
I get what you're saying. I think it would be nice to start off.
You're not going to get that. You're not going to get people to sign because they're too scared. Yeah. They don't want to be seen as, an extremist or a fundamentalist, etc. Yeah. You're just going to try to get the most basic set of agreements. Okay, we at least agree on this. That's why I'm like, okay, well, it's a good starting point. It's not what I wanted, but it's a huge step forward that we didn't get yet.
So I think to what Sim is saying, though, I mean, it would be nice to say, at least in some unambiguous way in the beginning, that Islam has come to solve, like we see this as a societal problem. and we're here not only to maintain our own rights, but to provide and offer a solution that Islam can give to people, right? And that in certain, and just be very straightforward about the fact that we believe that this lifestyle, and it did in some ways say that this can lead to hellfire, right? There are consequences.
Of course.
But I think in mentioning the consequences, they could have also mentioned, well, this is why Islam, this is what Islam offers to avoid that consequence. And we don't have to get into specific details.
But in all fairness, didn't they kind of do that by stating the ayat and the just by
no, I think those ayat were there about warning people, but not in terms of why they should take that warning. Like what the purpose, because we talk about this a lot. When Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam came, the Islam that was presented was something that was going to be radically different and challenge what people, no matter what they thought or how barbaric or how backward or how strange they thought these were going to be. But I think in very direct ways, the Prophet was telling them that, no, we're going to change this. Like, we've come to change this. You don't see it as a problem. Like, the kuffar didn't see shirk as a problem. They didn't see making tawassul through idols as a problem. They didn't see, the cheating or business or riba was a problem. They couldn't fathom that, right? And the Prophet effectively was saying, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that you don't see it as a problem, but we know it is a problem, and we're gonna be challenging that, and we're gonna offer a solution to that. And I think it doesn't have to be that direct, but some effect of that, meaning that, hey, we're Muslims, we have solutions, and we are intending to lead the charge against this. Because if it's okay for a kafir to come out, or even famous people and whatever, to come out and say Muslims are holding their ground, Muslims don't back down, Muslims are principled, right? You can say that not in the same verbiage, but you can certainly say that, hey, you know what? We believe that our community it should be an exemplary community, and these are the solutions that we can, within Islam, that we can offer.
I think the challenge of putting together something that has to do with legislature and legislation is that it has to follow a certain decorum of what a paper is written. And if they were to say, and I don't disagree with this, but to say what we were discussing right now, it would take it out of the realm of that into more like a movement of an organization, which is a movement.
Islam is a movement.
No, I understand that. I'm not disagreeing with you. What I'm saying is, if you just look at the way the paper is designed, it's more on a level of policy and legislature and all that kind of stuff, right? It has that style.
So and in order to talk about coming from understand the audience. Who is this paper directed towards? Yeah. Is it directed to the LGBTQ or to the policymakers? No, it's directed for the Muslim community to understand what their mindset should be. And in that mindset, you have to have it's pinnacle importance to understand that Islam offers a solution.
Of course, yeah. I'm making those comments to, if there was somebody from that panel that was here, what would their response be, right? That's all I'm doing, right? I agree with you guys 100%.
Yeah, and I think that panel would also agree that you want to give the Muslim the solution, not just that you're saying everything is wrong.
Yeah. I think that everyone would agree with you.
Because the reason why these Muslims the reason why these scholars even mean anything and a paper is because they're supposed to be offering something from Islam that is going to change, that better yourself, right? That's the only reason why any of these names mean anything. If they were calling to something other than that, we wouldn't care. It would just be another guy writing a document, right? You see what I'm saying? So start off with that. That the only reason we're writing this is because we believe that that Allah and His Messenger are always correct. Yeah. And it's better for any society to follow this. And you should be emboldened and honored and proud to be able to say that these things are wrong and that we have a solution. And now we're going to give you the reason why we can't support why it's opposing to the LGBTQ movement, why someone who's down with this cannot be in normative Islam because of everything else they laid out. Yeah. Right? And I think that would have been a far stronger introduction and set the tone for the people reading it. Because right now it comes off almost as defensive. That, everyone's talking about it, what are we going to say? Right? It's coming off like it's just almost reactionary rather than proactive.
Well, we've always been reactionary, right, in this country. Yeah. It's we wait for everyone. We don't want to ever be the first one charging in battle, We're I mean, that's you know, but that's contrary to the Ummah of Muhammad, where Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, where we have people who go first into battle. You know, where the
so to push back on it, they're gonna bring up like Hilf al-Fadayl and like you know Sulh Hudaybiyah, right? They're gonna say, well, we couldn't, you know, we weren't in that position to charge forward first, right? And that's what because a lot of them who did sign this have talked about that, right? In terms of the community of America is more like the community that was in Mecca, and they draw parallels, right? They're not the community in Medina.
The Treaty of Hudaybiyah has been used as a crutch for many years now. I mean, but for the past 2 decades.
I'm not saying I agree, but I think that's what they would say.
They've always used that. They've used that to sign on to senators and all kinds of different policymakers from coming into mosques. Yeah, Treaty of Hudaybiyah, you know, Treaty of Hudaybiyah, Treaty of Hudaybiyah. I mean, everything is a Treaty of Hudaybiyah when it comes to, but everything else related to Sirah is completely forgotten. Treaty of Hudaybiyah was an order from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It was not someone just making a decision. Okay, it had the Sahaba, whether if the decision was in their hand, they would have gone.
I mean, they couldn't understand it. I mean,
they went to the Prophet.
Yeah, Umar says himself, "Are we not Muslims? Are we not like? Aren't we not correct? Yeah. Like, I mean, meaning that if we're correct, why not go forward? I mean, they couldn't understand it. And then I believe the narration goes, the Prophet was visibly frustrated and said, "It's not my command. It's not something from me." Yeah, and meaning that it was.
But the moral of the story of that was how much they had to adhere to wahi, right? Because all of them could have acted upon, like what you said, right? But it had to do with wahi. That Rasulullah was put another test for him in a very difficult position, right? Where he wants good. His ashab are with him, and there's a Treaty of Hudaybiyah. This is their moment to change everything. And he had a dream about Fath Makkah, and he didn't tell them when the Fath was going to happen, right? Or they were going to do Umrah, right? But it was going to happen. And the Sahaba thought it was going to be then. And they were driven that this is our time to do Umrah. This is our time to shine, to go back to Mecca, but it wasn't their time. But Wahi was the only thing that had to override all those feelings and everything that they had, right? So, the Treaty of Hudaybiyah is, I agree, it's very much misused. And we can't just use a Treaty of Hudaybiyah to make, you know, some brash decisions politically and stuff like that. I agree with you. I've been hearing it, forget about 2 decades, it's probably been more like 4 decades.
To be fair, I don't think Sim is expecting like some HT type document here. Like I don't think he's expecting that. But I think that there needs to be more flair and more confidence about our position. Because at the end of the day, we believe what we believe because we have certainty and yaqeen in what Allah says, and that we our resurrection and our accountability with Him. Yeah. Right? And so ultimately what we're saying here is that especially if you're going to be bold and say we're not going to be intimidated. We're not in that language that you're using. We're not going to succumb.
Which is in the document,
right? We're not going to be doing these things, right? It mentions that language that we're not going to be forced or intimidated or we're forced to succumb to these, movements. Ultimatums, right? So likewise, apply that language and say, likewise, we're going to say that we'll be unapologetically say that Islam is a solution and that we are different and that we believe that, wholeheartedly that this is wrong and Islam is going to fix this problem.
Yeah, and look, I want the listeners to understand, we're not saying this because we're knocking on the document or the people that wrote it or that signed off on the document. It's a place of love that comes from love for Islam. It's a ghira that we have for Islam that's causing these feelings within us. We're not saying that, this is a bad document. No, of course, man. There's a lot of positive. I think it's a great start.
Yeah, I signed it. Someone didn't put my name in there. They must have forgotten. I guess I didn't have the proper title. That I should have wrote Al-Madani. That's what, Shaykh, how come your name's not on there?
Who am I?
Is this like some kind of secret WhatsApp group where all this stuff is happening? Bro, are you part of this group?
I'm not a part of this group.
Why not?
Do you have any inside knowledge?
No, I don't have. What?
Wait a second. Hang on a second. Let's look at the signatories here and see if there's Shaykh Amir Saeed here.
Guys, hold on. I'm going to forget, but can we get to the point which caused a little bit of an uproar on the web?
Saeed's not even here.
I think it's important to see if there's a Saeed.
Wait, hang on a second, Shaykh.
Bro, guys, don't do this, please.
Shaykh, you're not there. Oh, you know what? There's a signatory request area. That's where I had put in mine, and they dutifully rejected me.
I know where he is.
Hang on.
He's part of the Canadian Council of the Arms.
Guys, can we just...
Hang on. What's your title, Shaykh? Let's
Sim.
No,
guys,
Shaykh,
stop
listen,
this, bro.
can you please?
Shaykh Al-Hind.
No. It must be much more grander.
Okay.
Think of something better.
Ayatollah Amr Sayyid.
No, not Ayatollah.
Ayatollah.
Let's think of Shaykh.
Hujjat al-Islam Amr Sayyid.
Al-Hujjah.
I can't believe you guys.
Hujjat al-Islam.
Islam. Maulana.
I don't belong anywhere in this document, bro.
Shaykh.
Hey, what's
Amir. Which Saeed.
Hey, Amr, what's the highest form?
Are you a PhD, Shaykh?
No, I'm not.
You're not? Okay.
No,
Hang
I
on.
don't even have a master's, bro.
Wait,
Hang on.
Amr.
Are you your email? I don't remember your email.
Wait, Amr,
let's
what's
just
the
use
highest
Mad
form
Books
in
email.
the
Mad
hadith
Books.
hadith as far
Amir
as...
al-Mu'minin.
Yeah, say Amir al-Mu'minin Amr Sayyid.
That's
Amir
Imam
al-Hadith
al-Bukhari. That's
Amr
Imam
Sayyid.
al-Bukhari, man.
Okay. Al-Hujjat al-Islam Maulana Amr. Oh, what's your affiliation? Okay, affiliation. Let's do
Mad Mamluks.
No.
You guys are punks, dude.
No,
I wonder who
Pakistan.
reads this. Who reads this? Who reads this like request?
Oh, dude, everyone.
Guys, can you not do this, bro? This is really embarrassing, bro.
Pakistani medical
Bro,
proctologists.
No, can we make up an organization?
But no,
like-
Pakistani medical proctologist.
they're gonna look that up. They're not gonna find anything, bro.
Proctologist Association. Pakistani Medical Proctologist Association.
President of the
Guys, you know we could do this off air. We don't have to do this right now while everyone's
Pakistani
watching.
Medical Colonoscopy Association.
President of the Midwest Islamic Council of Islamic Relations and Outreach.
Put president of American Islamic College. President of American Islamic College.
We're going to submit this. Let's see.
No, Sheikh Amir does not. It's not that he doesn't want to sign. It's that he's too
I don't
humble.
want to. No, it's not a humble.
He's
Bro,
too
these guys are a
humble.
different league. If you guys are extremely naive if you think I belong on the paper with those guys, bro.
I think
You guys are very naive, bro.
Mad Mamluks.
So check this out. Can you read the part that was causing a little bit
Okay,
of
while
a
he does that. Okay.
of an ambiguity concert?
All right, let me see here.
It had concerted some ambiguity.
They want a bio for you, Sheikh. Dude, I thought I put up a bio
Tim,
for you.
can you not do this right now, bro? Tim, we're in the middle of a podcast
Listen,
right now,
bro, this is important.
No, it's not.
Bro, you did you ever take a
It's
course
just a troll.
Did you ever take a course from Nabil Aziz called Guerrilla Marketing?
No.
Yeah, guerrilla marketing. This is what it's all about. We get the Mad Mamluks involved in this as a signatories
Bro,
in here,
Sim, this
and
is a
people
troll post that you're doing right now in the middle of an episode,
Listen.
It's
dog.
okay. Let him do it. Listen, so I'm going to read this while he's doing that.
Can you put the camera on him, please?
Hang on.
Our constitutional right to hold our views under this subsection. It says that we...
About.
Oh, hold on.
Sim, can you put the camera on him, please?
All right, hang on. We're going to hit submit here.
Medical Colonoscopy Association.
What the? I
What
can't.
is submission? They don't like the submission. What is it too long? What's wrong? What's wrong with it? What's wrong? They've already blocked you, Sheikh. They've blocked. Okay. Oh, maybe they just want Sheikh. That's probably why. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay.
I can't believe we're doing this in the middle of the episode. This is funny.
No.
We're gonna think back and
Oh,
hopefully
one
Yeah.
submission per user, bro. He's already on there. Someone already submitted him.
he submitted
Oh.
it. He already submitted.
Oh, okay. Well, he submitted then.
There's
inshallah.
No,
no.
you submitted.
There's no
There-
there's no completion like
It's based off the IP address. bro.
no. There's no form that says you've submitted it. It just goes in. That's it. It doesn't. That's what it is. Anyways, so the portion is we recognize that our moral code conflicts with the goals of the LGBTQ proponents.
Are you able to put that part on the
We
screen?
also acknowledge their constitutional. Can we put it up there?
What?
Can you put that part that
Go
he's reading
go
on the
down
screen?
to the our constitutional right to hold our views. That subsection of the.
Hang on 1 second. Sorry. Oh.
Oh,
God damn. Okay, 1 second.
gosh darn it!
Wait, you want me to go back to the website?
The document, yeah.
The document.
The what's it
This
called?
one, bro.
Navigating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Scroll up. There we go. Scroll up.
I think we're gonna also.
Right there.
Right.
Oh,
Okay,
enlarge it a little
our
bit?
constitutional right to hold our views. Yes. We recognize that our moral code conflicts with the goals of the LGBTQ proponents. We also acknowledge their constitutional right to live in peace and free from abuse. Nevertheless, we emphasize our God-given and constitutional rights to hold, live by, and promote our religious beliefs in the best manner. Quran An-Nahl 125. Without fear of legal reprisal or systematic marginalization, peaceful coexistence does not necessitate agreement, acceptance, affirmation, promotion, or celebration. We refuse the false choice between succumbing to social pressures and to adapt views contrary to our beliefs or facing unfounded charges of bigotry. Such coercive ultimatums undermined prospects for harmonious coexistence. We call on policymakers to protect our constitutional right to praise or to practice our religious beliefs freely without fear of harassment, and to oppose any legislation seeking to stifle the religious freedoms of our faith communities. Consistent with our claims of nonpartisanship, we are committed to working with individuals of all religious and political affiliations to protect the constitutional right of faith communities to live accordingly to their religious convictions and to uphold justice for all. So I think this is the problem where some people are going to say is too ambiguous. It's too ambiguous, and I'll tell you in what way. By the way, this is not a pronouncement or a judging or of their assumption of their intentions. We believe they mean well. We believe that they mean what they said earlier, and they laid out the argument. But I think when the part about the policymaker, addressing the policymakers, this part is that I think, me personally, is that the argument could have been framed, or the statement could have been framed, that we are calling on the policymakers to protect our rights to not agree and not be pressured by the LGBTQ community to uphold or promote their values, right? We should be able to say, no, our religion is against this and we are against this lifestyle. Rather than being that direct about it, they went the route of saying that this is a constitutional right and that we want to petition for all religious communities to practice the religion how they see fit and express themselves. And while I believe they intended well, but
there was the other thing that you missed in there about I think that's there. What you said actually is kind of decent, but I think it has to do with the abuse. Can you read that portion? It has said the right to not.
No, that was early. We agree with that. We agree with that part. I mean, that they're saying we also acknowledge their constitutional right to live in peace and free from abuse. What that means is that they're just recognizing the constitutional right. It's not saying that we as Muslims agree with it.
Yes, a lot of Muslims thought that they're saying that we agree with this also. So they thought it was contradictory to the previous part of the document.
That we both agree that the Constitution says this, that people have the right to live the way they want to and live in peace under the law. And I don't think it's saying that we agree with that. Maybe I'm misreading it, but for me, it's very clear that they're saying that this is what the Constitution says, and we agree it says that, right? And now we're asking you to extend that same courtesy to us, right? And I think in making that argument, though, they're then asking policymakers to uphold that religious freedom and expression. And I think here's where the ambiguity is. I think there's two problems, and number one is with the ambiguity, and I'll talk about that. Because when you're talking about upholding rights for religious communities and expression and all this stuff, while you may be trying to use it in your favor, that also means that you're fighting for the right for the person who claims to be a gay Muslim organization to be able to say that they're Muslim and that this lifestyle is okay, and the Quran also does not negate any of this.
But doesn't the previous document negate all of that? Nope. Everything that was said before negates
that. It just said that that's not their view. It doesn't say that. They will say that previous statement is that their opinion, that whatever this group is potentially saying is unfounded in Islam, and they're against that, but they're still saying that they have the right to say that, and they're saying that that they're fighting for the right to say that, that they can say that. And also the problem is that language is very important. So when you talk about religious liberties and freedoms and choices, right, that can also mean that you that gets a little tricky because that also applies to, for example, a gay, quote unquote, actively gay Muslim who wants to enlist the service of an imam to get married, right? If you're saying that you agree with their right to practice what they want to practice, and say that they are Muslims and that they are whatever, you can't discriminate against that belief, right? And now maybe there might be right now there may be some religious exemptions, like they may not fall under the same rule because they are religious exemptions. However, those are going to be challenged too. You potentially leave yourself open to now having to deal with this, right? And what happens is that it's clearer to say that we want the government to recognize our right to say no to LGBTQ, just in that straight fashion, right? Because that's very clear about what we want, right? We're not asking you to change them. We're not asking you to pass legislation against them. We're not asking you to do any of that. We're simply asking you to protect our right to say no. That LGBTQ is wrong. We want the right from our pulpit to say that LGBTQ lifestyle is wrong. We believe it's dangerous. We believe it can lead you to hellfire. And we believe that we don't want this for our children.
Yeah.
In those plain words, we want the government, whether they agree or disagree, to honor that constitutional right they're talking about and to protect our right to say that. Regardless of what any other in the community thinks or believes. I'm not here to build a coalition with them. I think that language is more direct.
Yeah, and you mentioned something about abuse. Like, what does abuse mean? You're saying that part was ambiguous, right? Peace, and the part of live peacefully and not sustain abuse or something, right? In the document. So, what were you referring to? You said, like, can you unpack that? You had mentioned what does abuse actually mean, though? Like,
oh, so for example, what if?
Oh, how do you define abuse?
For example, if the LGBT community, if you don't address them by their pronouns, their preferred pronouns, is that abuse? So there are some areas of problems where how they interpret abuse, because there are some very vocal individuals among that community who interpret abuse as you not addressing their pronouns properly.
Or telling your children that it's wrong you're having these feelings, or trying to address the correct issue, right, by seeking counseling. That may be abuse, right? For example, in a different paradigm, not here, but a child that claims to be suffering from gender dysphoria.
Yeah.
If you try to seek counseling for that, that could be considered child abuse. Because you're not recognizing their feelings.
Yeah.
Right? It's detrimental to their health. They feel suicidal.
Yeah.
Whatever it may be, right? Same thing, right? It's just too loose.
Yeah.
It's too open for interpretation. And by the way, some people in the chat are saying, are they saying exactly that? I don't believe they are. What they're doing is they're appealing to the constitutional rights, which is we're not looking to grant the constitutional right to them, right? This is not what we want. We don't want to extend it to them. What we're saying is that I think it's. I'm not saying that their intention is to allow gay people to promote their agenda. This is not what I'm saying about any of these people writing this or signatories. Alhamdulillah, we know what their stance is. It's very clear.
Yeah.
At least from their document, the apparent, it's clear.
Yeah.
Right. I'm saying it's better language, more direct language is needed.
Yeah.
To clarify and to be extremely clear on the position, right? And so what will be better will be to say that we're expecting, and from a position of strength, not that we're calling on them and looking for validation. That was going to be my second point, that your constitution, the Constitution says that I have the right to have my religious expression and belief, and I expect you to honor that document in which you allow me to say that the LGBTQ lifestyle is wrong, to protect my children from that, to raise my children under that with that understanding, to deny this in our religious communities,
yeah,
and to be very, very vocally against it.
Yeah, and the reason why this came out is, if you look at the reason why we're focusing on this portion is because there have been some people who have misunderstood and took this as if this document is validating the LGBTQ initiative based on that language. That's why we're clarifying this language, letting them know, look, this is a very good document. There's nothing problematic, obviously, about this. They made a very strong stance, and some people have misunderstood, which is why we're going through this portion and kind of reading into it based on how they want to, right?
Yeah, I mean, look, I like I said, I just want to make it from my end. I don't think I have any doubt. I mean, as far as what their intention was to say, meaning the message they put out, I don't have any doubt that they're making it clear that they're against the LGBTQ movement. I mean, it's pretty clear it's not compatible.
It's clear from the beginning.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to say against it, but that the position of Islam regarding that is very clear.
It's very clear, yes.
Right? So I don't want to, and this, by the way, I'm not talking about this to put doubt on what they said earlier. I'm saying this so that we can refine the document so we're absolutely clear, and that, because, consider this to be a working document. Anyone who works in documentation knows that there are things like working documents. There's versions, right? So this is great. It's a great start. A lot of good things came from it. It's just tweaking a document to make sure that our point is effectively made and that it lasts for the future as well. So they can't come back to generations later, can't come back and start saying, well, they didn't really mean that. This is just kind of, it's talking about protecting rights, right? Or abuse was, they certainly didn't want to have abuse. And, so you not recognizing your child as whatever is abuse to them. They didn't want that, right? Yeah. So to be language is very clear. And this is very important with declarations. As you know, as a scholar, that when fuqaha write something, they're very clear about the different masail. They have to be very clear because this is something people refer to not only in the generation, but down the road.
And what they intended, I firmly believe what they intended, was that all faith groups who, not just constitutionally, but religiously believe that this lifestyle is wrong, the promotion of the lifestyle is haram or forbidden in other religions, we should not face politically and on a legislative level any backlash because we adhere to our religion of it being wrong. So all of us collectively should be protected. That's what I gather from it. And I think that's what their intention was, obviously. Now, is there some ambiguity? Yes, and we understand that there is because some people have completely misunderstood it. Some well-read people have misunderstood it. And Yasser Qadhi's reply to that was, like, it's in plain English. It's in simple, plain English. And obviously, and it was very honest of him where he said that, look, nothing's perfect. And people make mistakes. Maybe there's something that could have been improved, in his reply. And I think that was very nice of him. But it's pretty clear. I mean, it's pretty clear from the beginning of the document.
And you have to look at the intent, right? I think any kind of document you can pick and dissect it, and at least from our position, I feel that we have the level of intellectual honesty where we know that the scholars here aren't in any way supportive of homosexuality or trying to
it's lifestyle,
trying to find a loophole or any of that stuff. We know their good intent. We're just trying to say, hey, maybe tweak the language here and there, and that's it.
And just to avoid confusion, too.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of good people I saw online and some people that I saw messages from that completely misunderstood or going like completely gung-ho on the other side. On the other side of the spectrum was saying that these people are very...
Can you scoot up?
I was just afraid of coming to the camera.
No, you're not.
Okay. So, that being said, I think again, it's a great start. I think that they were very, very strong in the sense of quoting the Quran and the Hadith of Rasulullah. And at the end, look, we have to be very careful of another lesson learned is we may have certain thoughts and ideas about something and we're waiting for something to mess up, or we want to read into something and we make our own narrative, right? And that's a very difficult thing to overcome. Sometimes if you have really, really strong feelings towards something or your association with certain people and groups, you're going to read into it in a certain way, right? And that's obviously what's happening on a certain level, right? So Allah protect us, man.
I mean, I think we kind of discussed it, so let's probably segue or something to the next.
Well, basically, our next item of discussion here is, I don't know why I'm talking like that. But
it sounds cute. Go ahead.
Is Ustad? I don't know what title he has. Let's go back to this document and see what title Tariq Ramadan falls under, because there's a few titles here in our document here. Let's see here. Let's go back.
Doctor.
Shaykh, he's not a sheikh, or sheikha, or imam, mufti, etc. He's definitely not any one of those. But he is a doctor.
Dr. Tariq Ramadan. Yeah.
Dr. Tariq Ramadan was accused of sexual improprieties.
Just be straightforward. In the Me Too movement, he was accused of rape, man.
He's accused of rape.
Yeah.
There you go.
Just be straightforward, bro. That's what it was.
And many people canceled him.
Yeah.
Many people said many awful things about him.
Yeah.
But the Swiss court today, or yesterday rather, cleared him of all charges.
Yeah. Acquitted.
He is still under trial in France, however, and he has to face those charges. But Tariq Ramadan, not guilty in Switzerland. That's a neutral country.
MashaAllah. No, I know. It was.
If it don't fit, you got to quit.
And when did it start? Do you remember what year this was? This is in what, 2017 or 2016 that he was originally brought into.
The original act happened, or at least the allegation, 2008.
Yeah. So it was 10 years later, 2018, I think it was.
Yeah. In 2017 is when he was accused and had to take a leave of absence.
Wow.
For those who
about 5 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what? I think before we talk about this, though, I think we need to be absolutely clear. He messed up by even letting this woman near him, right? There's no excuse for a man. Like, dude, you're a position of, aside from all of that, you're a Muslim man, right? You're a scholar. We don't have to remind you that you don't have khala with a woman, right? You don't go meet him for coffee, whatever, right? That's his mistake. And I think we have to be very clear about that, right? That Muslim men need to do better, right? You can't trust these people. Bottom line, if you're married, don't trust any other woman. Like, don't. Some of these women are out to get you. It's just a reality.
Especially
right?
Let's be more clear.
Wait, hold on.
Someone who's that popular.
No, I'm saying anybody. Forget about popular or not. We know, for example, we know about a particular brother who's not popular. He's pretty freaking ugly, right? He had to be a teacher, and he was walking in parent-teacher conferences, and some woman who never talked to him decided to just talk to him because his wife was with him, right? And so that guy was a nobody. But what happens? So there are some evil women, just like there are some evil men who want to harm women, right? Avoid it. Be smart.
Women avoid being with men alone, men alone avoid.
Yes, you are a middle-aged man. You're wise enough to know. You should be in control of your emotions, of your feelings. I'm not saying it's haram to be attracted, but on top of that, you're someone who has knowledge of the religion, some knowledge of the religion, or maybe an expertise level, whatever it may be. You know better. Don't put yourself in jeopardizing positions. But with that being said, it does not in any way, form justify slandering and dragging him through the mud and inventing like false allegations against someone, destroying somebody that way. Yeah,
destroy. I mean, even if his reputation is clear, it's never going to go away. That's how bad accusations are.
Yeah, it's incredible. Even a false accusation, accusation that's been completely. There's always just that one doubt, kind of lingering in the back of people's minds. What if it was wrong? What if the final judgment was wrong? I mean, we don't. Alhamdulillah for Islam, where we don't, condone or it's strictly prohibited, rather, the a man and a woman being alone. But let's just say it wasn't. Anyone who has a woman or under their care, a man who has a daughter or someone, they would never want their child to be studying under him.
Of course, yeah.
It's a scary. Even though he's been completely cleared, it's scary because what if he just got away with it?
Yeah, no, that's true, man. But in all fairness, also look, yes. Nobody should be in khalwa, in whatever room or whatever, alone with a woman. That's true, right? There are situations where people who help the community, look, I think therapists go through this also, faith leaders go through this also, where somebody who's in a very desperate, dire need needs to come and see them because they can't go anywhere else, right? It just happens to be that way sometimes, right? But when you couple that with traveling and all that, you have to be, I was telling you some more even before we started the show, like when you travel, you have to be very, very careful. You should try to travel with somebody. And at least if you're going to the destination, you should have a good group of brothers there that are with you. You know, I'm addressing the dudes right now especially. You should have a good group of brothers there that are going to keep you on track, because when you're traveling or even if you're living alone, it's a recipe for disaster. And that's where shaitan's waswas is no longer waswas. He's giving you a khutbah, bro. Right? And it becomes very, very difficult to challenge. The other thing is that we unfortunately are in a situation where we make it a lot easier because of public decorum and the way we're viewed as Muslims in society, or people who are influential, where there's nothing wrong with going and having a coffee with a sister as long as it's in public, because it's not considered khalwa, right? I get the legal understanding of why they're saying that, but the level of how this happens, dude, I know so many people, and you guys probably know so many people that are in khalwa all the time before they get married with a woman, whether it's not physical khalwa. They go out to eat, they go to the movies, they do all that. They just say, we don't touch each other, we don't kiss each other, but they do all this together. No, just because you're not in physical khalwa, it doesn't mean it's okay to be alone with a woman when there's other people around, right? That doesn't make it okay, because there is a certain type of khalwa that occurs that only you and her are going to be talking about, that no one else can hear and understand what's happening, right?
Don't come even near it. Let me talk about actually doing it.
Yes,
don't even come near it. And
anything that leads to that.
What comes near to that?
Yeah.
Courting, getting to know each other, spending time, flirting with each other, whatever it may be. Yeah, you can justify it the way you want to. Oh, we didn't do that yet. Yeah, but it's just around the corner, dude. Yeah. Like to even come near it is something Allah dislikes and detests it, right?
But
that's the point.
So the reason why I said that is, look, this is not a knock on Dr. Tariq Ramadan.
First of all, we don't know for a fact any of the things because we don't know exactly. These are all things that are the women have said.
No. According to what you said, Shaykh Amir, that he, from his own version, he agreed to meet her up and he kissed her on the forehead. That's from his own mouth, right? So in that right there alone,
I can't remember if it was forehead, but yeah. So
whatever, he kissed her, right?
There were two versions of this. Can we break this? Let me break it down.
Yeah. So hold on, wait. You can break it down. All I'm saying is from the version of Tariq. I didn't take the version of the woman. From what you told me, Tariq Ramadan said, from that version, he's clearly wrong. Yes. He admitted his wrongness.
No, what I'm saying is I don't want to make this about what he did wrong when he's acquitted. That's what I meant to say. Like, we don't want to make this all about that. Or I don't want to make it all about that.
Yeah. But I think what we have to be, when talking about this, we need to be honest, right? The reason why he's in this predicament in the first place is because
there were two versions of this story.
No. Even if his version was right.
Yeah. I know.
It's only his version that's right.
I know.
It's true. Right? What his choices he made, which are not sanctioned by the Sharia, put him in this predicament in the first place.
Yeah, you're right. Of course.
So, out there, fellas, if because of this crazy Me Too movement and all these believe women first stuff, you have to be extra vigilant. The ayat of the Quran, the advice of the Prophet is even more relevant today.
Yeah, of course. No, 100%. So the version that it was her word against his, it was that she said that she had coffee with him, she went to his hotel, and he violently raped her. Right? I mean, I find that very hard to believe, right? So that's the first thing, and we can get into detail why. The second version is that he said that she was blowing up his DMs, she kept on messaging him, so finally he invited her, they had coffee, and he just ended up kissing her, but he wasn't attracted to her, so he didn't have any sexual relations with her, right?
Yeah. So
what, the main thing here is this, alhamdulillah, he's been acquitted. Again, I don't want to make this about how he messed up, why this led to it. Yes, that should never happen. But the main thing is that, alhamdulillah, he's acquitted. But at the same time, we have to be very, very vigilant too, right?
Absolutely. I think I just want to preface that with that. But like I said, it does not in any way absolve, or indemnify this woman of making horrific accusations. Because to be honest, as much as he's acquitted, these accusations and slander, they stick.
Yeah, forever.
The damage is done.
Yeah.
Right? Even if people will bring it up, even when they know it's not true, but just to in spite and to discredit somebody.
Yeah.
Right? Like, these Western journalists are going to mention, formerly disgraced, Tariq Ramadan, accused of whatever. They're going to keep bringing it up. right? And so the damage is done, and that's why the punishment for this in Islam is very severe.
Yeah.
To be fair, in the Islamic court, the crime which she accused him of doing and the punishment that they would have imposed on him would have been done on her.
Yeah.
Because that's how serious these things are.
So I think this changes a lot of things, but the crazy thing about a lot of these movements, and the problem with the slander is, after this whole accusation that occurred, is that it's just a relief that he's acquitted, but there's no real ramification, no repercussion for the accused, the one who accused, and it's just like, okay, he's acquitted now after all that damage happened.
Yeah, well, I mean, he did receive a lot of money from the court.
Yeah,
the Swiss court,
$67,000.
Yeah, I mean,
what is that for us? I mean,
no, but I'm saying even $150,000 for 10 years, and the stuff that you lost,
5 years, yeah.
No, the book deals you lost, the interviews you lost, the honorariums you lost. It's a fraction, bro.
Yeah. That's true.
It should have been millions.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what? When these women go after it, they go for millions.
Yeah, that's
right?
true.
So, reciprocate that. Pay up millions.
Yeah. No, I agree. But alhamdulillah for that. And then, can we
pull up?
Can we? Yeah, just come closer to the mic, bro.
Yeah,
I'm all up in the mic.
Yeah.
So,
you're just out of focus.
So what's with Sujood, bro? What's happening with the Sujood story?
The Sujood, well, basically, it was just a fun little news item, and a lot of young Muslims were really happy. My son's a big Ronaldo fan, and him and I play FIFA quite a bit, and he was really happy about Ronaldo scoring, and then his team was all celebrating around him, and then he went and made a Sujood.
You sure you just wasn't tired?
Could have been tired.
Man, I'm exhausted.
I mean, look.
I know why.
One of the people I know when Ronaldo took the contract in with the club in Saudi Arabia, I kind of hoped, like, you know what? He's around Muslims. He's been a person who has been an activist of. He's very close to the Palestinian cause, and he's always made a lot of overtures towards Palestine and Muslims.
He said, admittedly, has read the Quran. He's reading the Quran.
Yeah.
He's done it with other teammates or Muslims of his that he has read. He started reading the Quran. So yes, we hope that this is a. Sometimes people adopt the Islamic traditions and dogma, sometimes in some form, before they act, the rituals before they become Muslim. Like we hear sometimes, for example, someone fasted in Ramadan, right?
Yeah.
Even though they weren't Muslim, right? Someone donned a hijab for a day, right? Someone started abstaining from pork, even though they're not Muslim yet. So sometimes these little actions is kind of like a test run, right? Like, or maybe it could be that because of the influence of people around him, that it became a reaction of his to just make that sujood, right? It became normal for him.
Or he just been affected by it.
And that is something which ties into enjoining good and forbidding evil, right? Instead of doing the cross symbol, he was influenced to do the sujood.
Yeah.
And that's the ultimate takeaway, the silver lining. That's a good thing. That means that for all the people that have been negatively talking about Saudi Arabia, and for good reasons, but there's still some khair and good in it. Meaning it was to the point where he was able to be influenced by that.
Yeah.
Because I don't think these same people that brought him over here are telling him to become a Muslim and to, they love him the way he is, right? So I don't think it's them telling him you got to make sujood, right? Be our culture. No, they love him bringing his own culture to there. So for me, this is a reflection of the larger community, right? The people he's associating with, that this is becoming something that there's obviously conversations about, the familiarity with, around these things, seeing maybe Muslims pray when they're happy, right? Seeing their celebration. So this is definitely an influence of people around him, not necessarily reflective of the intention of the kingdom itself, meaning the people in power, but it is certainly a reflection of the people around in the kingdom itself.
How many people do you know on the Saudi team are Muslim or non-Muslim? Do you know the ratio?
I don't know that, but like 90-something% are going to be Muslim.
Are going to be?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy. They did that well in the
you're talking about Ahli, An-Nasr, Ittihad, they're going to be majority. I don't think 90, but at least majority going to be Muslim. They come from other leagues around too. There's African leagues.
Yeah.
So there are, and there's North African league, and there's other Khalij league. They come from out, so yes.
There's a handful of non-Muslims, but majority of the club is Muslim.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. I always thought it was like 50-50.
No. I mean,
meaning the good teams.
But now, But now with the advent of people like Ronaldo going, and I believe there was something was mentioned that Messi was talking about some other club, maybe perhaps. But certainly with people like him going there, it will certainly open the door for many other people to consider or accepting offers to playing for these teams.
I mean, it's nice that Ronaldo and Messi, they're going. I mean, it's speculated that Messi's going to eventually go to one of the Saudi clubs as well. It speaks a lot to our mentality, like in terms of Muslim countries and stuff, where we like that one shiny item, like the luxury item, right? Instead of, like, imagine if they had the mentality where we're going to take the money that the tens of millions. I think Ronaldo's contract's like 90 million or something like that, for some ridiculous number.
For how many years?
I think it's like a 5 year.
I'm not sure.
Or 4 year kind, something like that.
Sorry to throw.
No. Actually, it's a good question. That's a Ronaldo contract. Let me see. It is 75 million a year.
Wow. For how long?
For 2.5 years.
That's wow.
So that's over almost 150 million plus, right? So imagine if they took that money and they invested in youth programs like Barcelona does, where they cultivate their own talent, right? From an early age, they take the best soccer players, football players, and they
so can I be fair?
Start cultivating them. 1 second, and then they bring natural talent. They develop not only just those specific players, but they bring a culture of the actual high level of football being played in their country, right? Rather than just buying the shiny toy like Ronaldo, who's on his last legs,
but don't you think
Messi, who's on his last legs.
Wait, let me just push back a second. So these clubs already have junior clubs where they have millions of dollars going into them, where they perform. They play in junior Ittihad, junior Ahli, junior, and they build them, like they start from young. And they, among the Asia Cup, they move around. They play for different teams. They do that, but. I think to be fair,
but you know why they're not as successful as the other, because you need good coaching. So in order for the Barcelonas and the Real Madrids, they have those as well, right? But they have that level of success with their players because they have the top level coaches.
Yeah, but
so if you end up as Nasser and etc., all those other clubs in Saudi Arabia, if they get those high level coaches to participate in their youth programs, they can also end up having those high-level players.
Yeah, but a lot of these top-level coaches, previously they weren't as accommodating to move into these places, because you're not.
They will for money when you start giving them that kind of money.
The same money they can get from another team, like in, for example, the junior leagues in France, they can get the same amount of money, and they're going to be living in a place, right? Because the likelihood they're not. Here's the thing. Prior to this World Cup, right, in Saudi, these players, they didn't recognize, even though they were good players in Africa, in North Africa, Morocco, there's good players all over. They go to other places, but they don't expectedly see that they're a star is going to come out of there, right? And so a coach is going to think about that too when he goes in and coaches, right? Because obviously it's their legacy, right? Teams like, junior teams for France or for Spain or for these different Italy, they have a track record of bringing out people that are, I'm not saying they're better inherently, but they get more attention, right? They have a history there, right? So for the legacy of a coach, he's going to get approximately the same amount of money, but comes with the recognition that, okay, I coached these players that came out, and they have a more likelihood of being on the big stage.
Yeah.
It's politics. It's how it works, right? I agree with Sim, but I'm saying to say that they don't invest, they do try to bring all the best coaches. And I know that. Yeah. I know that with like Ittihad and Nasser, even the junior teams. One of our friends, Hisham, his younger brother who passed away, who used to play for a junior team. They had Italian coaches that would come and play from Inter Milan. They were coaching the little team, right? I mean, the junior league, right? And that's a big thing, right? I mean, you would see that. But again, the perception that they have of the Middle East, about people playing, coming out of there was different. I think that's changing now, especially with the event of the World Cup in Qatar. But I think it's more than just about spending money.
But yeah, no, it was the right time for Saudi, because all these changes that Saudi's trying to make it more inhabitable for tourists and all that, to have a Ronaldo on their team now, right? So it was the perfect time. It was the perfect storm for them to bring this face, and this whole change is happening. That's how I saw it. Like, I agree with you, but they're not right now. They're looking at short term. What can we do in this phase that we're in to make this very attractive? And then I think the next step, if they were smart, would be now, once they have Ronaldo, is not to use that as a bargaining chip to now invest more money into the junior teams, maybe, but I think that this 2.5 year thing is short. They need to make it as good as they can to launch all of this, all these promotions and initiatives that they have in Saudi, man.
Just look at the example of Morocco, right? Morocco, the reason why they're such a good national team is because they have high level coaches in Morocco.
Yeah.
You don't think the Saudi Real is not good enough for the coaches in Morocco to come over to Saudi and come and coach their players over there? Heck yeah, they would come. You pay them the money, they will come. It's at the end of the day, it's a market. Yeah, people may not like your culture, whatever, bro. At the end of the day, if your money cashes, that's all that matters.
That's true.
So
that's very true.
So I understand some people might not want to come from certain countries and stuff. There may be some people, but ultimately the market is what wins at the end. And the Saudi and the Gulf regions have the most money to throw at these coaches.
That's true. Yeah, that's very true.
What else is next on our agenda?
Just want to say, I think, to be honest, though, it's nothing new that Saudi did by bringing a player like that. Like many clubs do. Like Juventus took Cristiano after.
Yeah, but Juventus and them, they have strong soccer programs already.
Yeah. But what I'm saying though is that it's no shocker to pick up a guy on the last leg and pay him a bunch of money.
Here's the thing, okay?
Right?
So
it's very normal.
So when Juventus and those teams, they pick up a Ronaldo or Messi, they have already built the nice structure around him. So he's the crown jewel to what they already built from within. And boom, that final puzzle is what they see when they sign. Although Ronaldo's time at Juventus wasn't successful, nor was Messi's time at PSG was any success. But these teams, they build around them with locally cultured or cultivated talent, and then the final piece is getting
I think some of it's there, but also I think it's a marketing tool for them too. Like they know they're gonna get fans in the stadium.
Oh, yeah.
It's a big money.
PSG
maker.
Doesn't need Messi. They just let him go there.
Yeah, no. But I'm saying for people, it certainly does increase sales. Like they know they're gonna put jerseys off. I mean, there's a business element to it. It's not just that the fact. Of course, PSG does just fine without him, right? They have so many good players, right? But it's just not. But I'm saying there are also business decisions made, right? Like it's not just about you bring more marketing in, you bring more. I mean, it's a lot of different things, right? Bring more fans into it because people want to say, "Oh, is this going to be his last season? Is this going to be Messi or Ronaldo's last season? He's going to be done after this. He's going to retire, right?" There's always the thing. I want to watch him in his last season. So there's certain factors, right? But I'm saying it's nothing new for a team to pick up somebody in the last leg and pay him a crap ton of money, right? It's not. So Saudi didn't do anything uniquely different than other places.
But that's the joke, though. That's why people laugh. Because Ronaldo was the one who had laughed many years ago at players who signed their on their last legs, and he said, "Oh, I'm not going to be that player who signs with some small team,
some dirt team, right?"
Yeah. Who was that guy who went to sign with the Ansi Makashkala?
It was some.
Was it? I don't know. It was some.
I don't even know what Ansi Makashkala is.
It's one of those clubs in Chechnya, bro.
I know you're talking about. I think.
It was a really good player.
Anyways, I mean, but many people have done it. I think it was just he was talking about a large amount of people have done it. Because Eto'o did that too. He went to some small club in Africa. He did. I mean, people do that, right? Like, and he was talking about those kind of people.
Yeah. So right? that's. I mean, it is what it is.
It's
I guess.
Life, bro.
Yeah. But I mean, look. I think to the larger point. I mean, we're happy that he made the Sujood. I mean, it's a whatever. It's a cool thing. I don't know if he really means anything to him or not. It's a nice thing to see. But to Sim's point. Rather than being excited about some guy potentially becoming a Muslim and because he's great, we have examples of great athletes that are Muslims, right? And the reason why they're great and best in what they do is because they focused on it. For example, The Dagestanis right now, no one denies that Dagestani MMA is cream of the crop right now. People are afraid to fight anybody with the OV at the end of their name, OV at the end of their name, right? And it's not because they have all this tons of, like it's just inherent to them. They crafted themselves. They
have great coaching.
Yeah, coaching, and they dedicated an effort, and they really focused on it. That was their bread and butter.
Genetics plays a big part of it.
I mean,
it's not genetics.
It's a work ethic. No, it's not just genetics. No,
it's work ethic. It's lifestyle. It's genetics.
It's not genetics.
No, it's not genetics.
So you're telling me if a Desi had the same coaches, same work history, he would be as good as a Dagestani.
If he lived in the mountainous regions, if he lived in that same level of...
Wait, hold on. Listen. You don't realize that before this whole wrestling, the Palvans in India, like the Great Gama...
I understand that.
Yeah, these were people that used to wrestle. They were
good.
No, not good. They were some of the best in the world.
I know they were. I know they were for that time's competition.
I know you have an inferiority being Indian, but it's...
I don't have an inferiority. I'm realistic, bro.
No, it's not about that, bro.
No, in India, it's a very sedentary lifestyle. It's a practical culture country where many people have realized, like, you know what, you're going to take the most safest route possible. Either you're in poverty and you work hard, like manual labor, you break rocks into little rocks, and that's your entire life, or you're going to go and study IT or find some kind of steady income for your family. You don't have time.
Let me ask you this. Do you believe that some geographical regions have just inherently different physical anatomy and strength in their anatomy?
I think environment plays a role, but not just inherently genetically. No.
Okay, let me give you an example. Let's take African Americans, for instance. Okay,
I guess in trouble.
I'm not. This is praising. Alhamdulillah, Allah Subhanahu wa Taala. He created everybody differently. Do you think African Americans have a different physical advantage in basketball and football than everybody else?
Not every African American, but I think some.
Majority.
No, that's not true. No, and not majority. But
what is the percentage of African Americans in the United States and in the NBA compared to white people?
Yeah, but that's just hold on. That's because they chose to. Look, you have to understand. That's a whole different. You're talking about something so beyond.
No, I'll tell you why.
No, I'll tell you how. Listen, stop. Because African Americans for a long time were taught that either to make it successfully you have to be an athlete or you have to be a musician.
I understand.
So if you tell other people,
but look at the coordination, coordination that African Americans have and everybody else has. No, the coordination for basketball
has nothing to do with genetics.
It has a lot. No, your coordination has nothing to do with genetics.
No, listen, not at all.
Not specific to that race is what he's saying.
Yeah.
No, bro.
Listen. There are genetics.
I know multiple dentists. Okay, let's take dentists.
Yeah.
I talked to multiple British dentists and dentists in the United States, right? If you ask any of them, they're not going to say it on air, but if you ask them personally, what is the difference of doing oral surgery, or any surgeon, but oral surgery on African American and everybody else? What are they going to say? The bone density is much different on African Americans. Every single one of them will tell you that.
So what?
It's a genetic difference that they have.
I'm saying that can also.
I'm talking about every region has their own genetic.
Wait, hold on. Listen. This is what you're getting wrong.
Am I?
Michael Jordan himself genetically is a specimen. He is great. He is, according to you, he's African American, whatever. Has certain nice height at that time, but he will tell you himself his practice is what made him the best.
I agree.
Right. So what I'm saying is that there are people, like for example, if you're conditioned to think that the only way I can get out of poverty is to play basketball or football, let me finish this, or to be a musician, right? You're gonna train and focus and make it your obsession.
Of course.
If other races only had that opportunity to leave poverty, they would be doing the same, and you see the same numbers into them.
Okay.
For every African American you see in the NBA or in the NFL, there's 1,000 of them that didn't make it there.
Look, guys, I understand environmental and societal
but when you
issues,
compare to any other races, whether it's white people, etc., there's not going to be that same level of disproportional people who didn't make it. Do you understand? Because they have socioeconomic advantages.
Okay.
So
look, all the societal things I totally get.
But there may be...
I'm talking about genetically, geographically, all of us are different. Some of us are more prone to certain types of foods and have genetic issues with foods that other societies aren't.
Yes, exactly. There are genetic differences in that respect, and there may be.
There are physically too.
But there's not. It's not so much that you would have the entire the Caucasus region, the level of talent that's coming out of there, it's not so disproportionately better because of their genetic. They are better because they have really good coaching. They are coached since they are kids.
You're saying that it's purely the way you make it sound. Anyone from the Caucasus is genetically going to be an awesome fighter.
No, that's not what I said. I said genetics has something to do with it.
We all know genetics has something to do with it.
Okay, that's all I'm saying.
Yeah, but I'm saying you're saying but what I'm saying is that more important than genetics, like for example, let's say food habits are different, or maybe a certain race develops muscle quicker.
Yeah.
It just means that they have an advantage in that sense.
Of course.
But hold on, it doesn't mean that a person can't find a way to match up their genetics to get the same muscle mass or to gain certain things, right?
I think certain races put on look at Scandinavians, for instance. Let's be very honest. What is generally the biggest race in the world?
No, tallest. Yeah.
Tallest. Yeah. And biggest.
Yeah. So what
I'm saying is genetically,
which race was for hundreds of years? Which race was considered the most dominant race before the sports and stuff? The Mongolians,
of course,
they were considered the primal,
of course,
the physical specimen, and we've later found out it was because of their culture, the rough upbringing, the level of training that they went through since they were children. They learned horseback riding when they were kids.
I'm not negating. Maybe I was unclear. Look. The reason I was asking about the Scandinavians is generally they're a lot bigger. Now, they have that advantage genetically. So what requires them in their build to do something, what's required of that genetics, they're going to be better in.
What are you talking about? Listen, if Scandinavians put a focus on basketball the way certain people, African Americans, did in this country because they're forced to, they would be dominating too.
I don't think so.
But listen, they dominate strongman competition. How many black African Americans do you see in strongman competition?
I understand. That's what I'm. So
but you just said they have.
No, I said coordination. Hold on. Coordination is very different.
You said they have larger bone density.
I didn't say larger. I said more bone density. Yeah. It doesn't mean there's bigger. It just means there's more.
Okay, that means you can lift stronger.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't only mean you lift stronger.
If your bone is stronger, that means you can carry more weight.
No, then you have to talk about muscle too.
Yeah, but I'm saying if your bone is bigger, stronger density, you have the ability to pack on more muscle. It's just what you are inclined to. People gravitate. For example, you bring a white guy and or let's say you bring like a African American and tell him to play cricket. He'll suck at it. You know what I mean? But if they focused on it, they would be better than some people. And the Indians would be worse at it.
Look, how did this all start? I said that let me clarify about the Dagestanis. I said, and I firmly believe that genetics has something to do with the edge that they have also. It's not the only thing, but they have an edge. If you're taking 100 Indians and you brought them up with the Dagestanis, they all had the same coaches, they all had everything, right? I think genetically, because Dagestanis are a little more superior, that they would be better. That's all I'm saying. So
here's what I'm going to say. I think you're conflating environment with genetics. Because for example, these are the same Indians that 2 centuries ago, they went into Afghanistan and conquered it, and they were like the graveyard of empires, right? They did that.
Because they're numbers, obviously.
No, not numbers. They fought, bro. They fought. They were people. The perception of what their focus was entirely different then. They were trying to conquer, and they had a warrior mentality at that time. I mean, just look up. Look, I don't like the Hindu. Everyone knows that. But go look up the empire. Okay. Go look how they. And what I'm saying is, even to an extent, like Tim mentioned, the Mongols today. No one's threatened by a Mongol today.
I understand.
Right? But I'm saying, at a moment in time, their mindset, their culture, it crafted them. Now, it allowed them to focus on that, and then they harnessed that skill, and that's what happens, right? Because look, for example, the same genetic ancestors of the Saudis today were people that conquered Rome and Persia. Skinny people. We know things were like, for example, Abdullah bin Mas'ud, tiny man.
Yeah.
Tiny man. Do you think Ali bin Abi Talib was maybe 6 foot tall, had huge giant? No, he wasn't this person.
Right. I agree.
But he would be able to slay 300 people.
You're right.
And come out.
So
what is the difference? It's not just purely genetics. This is something they focus on. This is why the Nabi tells you to focus on certain things, because they build you.
Yeah.
Right? And the reason why I'm pushing back on this is not because I was animosity, not that. Because I find that people make this excuse that, I can't get a 6-pack. I can't get bulk on. Oh, my genetics are bad. Oh, I can't.
But some people genetically can't get a 6-pack.
It's just nonsense.
No, it's actually very true.
Nonsense.
It's actually very true. There's a lot of literature. Do you think everyone genetically can maintain a 6-pack?
Listen. It might be harder to do certain things.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying, but it doesn't mean even the one. But you can still do it. Stop blaming genetics.
No. Genetics has a lot.
You know what I'm saying, Sam?
No. I know people who are incredible gym rats, and it's incredibly hard. Yes, there is a tendency or an ease with certain ethnicities where the level of physique that they want to display is much more easily demonstrable. But I know several South Asians among the Desi community who are gym rats, but they can't get the six pack.
Yeah, I know.
But I know many of them that do have them. I mean, a lot of them that do have them.
Yeah.
I mean, so it's not just it's not just what I'm trying to say.
It's not just genetics. Genetics plays a role.
What I'm saying is that there's also an ethic. The people that have
ethics
them,
are very important. I agree.
The people that have them, listen, let's be honest here. The people that don't have it, they haven't done the work it requires for them specifically to have it. It just is what it is, and we can conveniently say that it's genetic. It's this.
Yeah,
and
it's
that.
not all genetics. For some of it has to do with genetics.
Even if there's genetics involved, everyone has some genetic downfall.
Of course, I agree.
But it's about you putting the ethic in to make sure you get what you want, your desired result. Right? And so we need to stop saying, I wish I could have been a basketball player, but genetically I'm just off. You know what I mean? No, look, there have been people, like, for example, I'm not saying it happens to everybody. It's the people who are willing to put the work in. Like, for example, Spud Webb, Muggsy Bogues, Allen Iverson. People that told they were short, they couldn't do anything,
all
right?
All black, by the way.
Yeah, but they were... Yeah, but I'm saying... But that's because that was their way out.
I'm just messing around.
Right?
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is that people... of course, genetics plays a role in how you're going to train, what your areas you have to focus on, what's maybe more likely. For example, certain genetics have more, inclination to getting torn ACLs, right? They have to do more to make sure they protect that, right? But that doesn't change the fact that you can still become the best. And there have been each and every nation that came out had great examples of civilization that are totally opposite of what they are today.
Yeah. I shouldn't have been trolling like this. You guys
see
really
over here on your screen
invested in this.
Is the 1960 India soccer team that made the Olympics, and their coach is, I forgot the name of their coach. My dad's going to kill me because I think someone on this team is related to my dad, and this team made the Olympics.
Do you have a name list for that by any chance? That picture
of this picture right here?
Yeah.
Are there names
underneath it somewhere?
Someone? Do you recognize someone's face?
No, listen. I'll give you an example. Okay, this is
such an odd request, Shaykh.
It's also a word.
Oh, Siri, shut up.
There's a picture of what my mom's dad. Okay, lifting the back end of a car. Okay, you tell someone today, they should lift the back end of a car or someone like that. You would think, no, that's crazy to see that someone that big, right? His brother was an Olympic swimmer for the India team, right? But you see that today, and you don't equate.
Yeah, Syed Abdul Rahim.
Yeah, his name. But you don't equate athleticism with that. Why? Because the mindset changed, right? But there were people that did this. Like I said, they were known as wrestlers. The whole idea of
I'm not disagreeing with that.
I'm saying the whole idea of swinging clubs and doing all that stuff. This came from certain people, right?
I know.
So what I'm saying
100%.
is that if you're focused to do something, you can excel at it.
Yeah.
If you're hyper focused and that's your bread and butter, you're gonna be better. You're gonna be good at it.
I agree 100%. 100%. I know.
So it is.
I know. I agree 100%.
I'm glad we agree.
Yeah.
So,
by the way, I'm corrected. Someone said I was mentioning if Africans were to play cricket, they'd be bad at it. By the way, enjoyer. I'm not talking about the older Caribbean team. I'm saying today because they've largely shifted away from playing cricket. Right? They've done other sports. Right? And so in today's time, African American today doesn't know how to play cricket at all. Right?
Yeah.
You just be bad at it. Right? It's not that all Africans. Right? I'm sure there are great African teams that play and the African players that play on those teams, but it's not something the African Americans...
Yeah, nobody in America plays cricket.
Yeah, no one in America, even the white person, the average, even Indian or
even though it's a British sport,
yeah,
right?
I mean, yeah, they wouldn't play. No one in America plays cricket. So someone from America would be just inherently horrible at cricket because we don't have a culture of cricket, right? It's just not what it is.
Over
right?
here, it's just a phone company.
Yeah, cricket, exactly.
That's all it is.
Exactly.
Do you guys want to talk about the BLM movement losing all of its money?
I laughed really hard about that. That was awesome.
So the BLM movement, the movement, but the actual organization, has been brought with scandal with a lot of people who collected funds during the George Floyd riots. They collected tens of millions of dollars, and they essentially squandered it all away. They gave each other incredibly high salaries, and they bought
mansions.
Yeah, they bought all kinds of nice luxury items, and
hey, they were safe spaces, okay?
They won the hustle for a while.
They were safe spaces, Sim,
yeah.
to cultivate talent. That's what they were there for.
Of course.
They needed, 6 bedrooms and a pool.
Living the dream.
To cultivate talent.
Living the dream.
And they needed a studio there because they had to produce one video the entire time they had a studio. they needed to have this. I mean, you don't understand.
They caught up really hard, bro. They got caught up real hard.
You're just having these biases toward them, okay?
But I didn't get a chance to read boots on the ground of what the morale happened of.
So, here's the Newsweek article about it, saying Black Lives Matter risks going bankrupt, running $8.5 million in deficit last year. Financial disclosures indicate the Black Lives Matter Global Network Foundation saw the value of their investment accounts fall almost $10 million in the most recent tax year, according to a copy of its tax return, first reported by the Washington Free Beacon. Yeah, so basically, this has been being reported over the past year or so, that the Black Lives Matter organization has been accused of misappropriating funds, collecting money in the name of Black Lives Matter, and just lining their pockets. And
apparently there's all kinds of corruption. It's not just the lady, right? The woman,
the co-founder Patrice Cullors,
right? Yeah, but she gave also, she brought on her brother as a security expert, and he has no knowledge of security. And then when asked about why, she was like, well, we can't trust the police and people in light of new evidence, all the police brutality. We can't trust traditional law enforcement. So I'm gonna bring this guy who I think he was doing event something like that. He was not even a security guy.
Event planner.
Yeah, it was just
it's right here. Yeah.
Really odd, right?
Paul Cullors and his two companies were paid $1.6 million for professional security services for the tax period ending June 2022. He is listed as one of the only two paid employees during that year, receiving $124,700 in salary for his role as head of security. So these people are also, by the way, communists. So I just find it a little bit funny that they're
LGBTQ
admitted, LGBTQ communist. They admit to this, by the way. This is not me making this up. And then just taking everyone's money.
Yeah, dude.
Just incredible liars and hypocrites.
It was the capitalist companies and corporations that donated these BLM funds, and they were happy to take capitalist money and then spend it the capitalistic way.
Yeah,
right.
You're right.
And apparently, but what I think the biggest takeaway though for me is that people are losing faith in the BLM, the movement here, not the concept, right? Because their donations went down by 80%. They went from raising 80 or 90 million to only raising 10 million or 8 million. So they had this unlimited money supply coming in from corporations and people that want to show how woke they are, and companies that were creating diversity departments, and they were saying, okay, we're committing this much fund to this. That happened the first year in light of Eric Gardner and all that kind of things, and then subsequently all the news came out about what they really stand for. They're communists, they're pro-LGBTQ, they're getting a little violent, right? And then companies pulled away donation, and then plus individual donors were like, wait a minute, I really don't know what these people are about. So there was pushback from traditional black people, conservative blacks in America, and that kind of put a strain on it. And I think people is reflective of the fact that people who were donors at one point just don't see the value in donating to them anymore. That's a good thing. They're a crooked organization.
So when companies, as far as companies or corporations, when they see this news that comes out and they were promoting and they have a whole lot of sensitivity training, which a lot of it was infused or sparked by BLM, what ends up happening there? On that corporate level, what type of discussions happen there?
Sim has talked about this before. They're only going to do what the low-hanging fruit is, that's comfortable. They're going to say, while they're talking about hiring on a diversity director, they're kicking out unions. They're taking away your benefits. Right? They're giving you less for retirement. They're trying to pay less for Social Security. Right? So all the stuff that matters, they're taking away from that and creating these bullcrap positions.
Yeah, they'll be happy if the public wants, Happy Ramadan month. They'll do that. They will do anything that distracts people from stealing the amount of money that they do, because that's what the executive level, the shareholders and the executives at organizations do. They make hand over fist, ridiculous amounts of money. They're not the first ones to go when a company's experiencing layoffs, right? They're wanting to make sure that the public is worried about other things. Yeah, outrageous LGBT and outrageous how these people are being mistreated. Anything that the people are clamoring for, they'll sign on to it, and you're seeing that completely, totally evident. Did you hear about the whole Bud Light controversy?
Yeah.
Budweiser, how Budweiser shifted focus because they wanted they had one of these woke executives who actually believed in this stuff, So the company didn't really understand.
Shockingly, they believe in this stuff.
So she actually believed, or I think it was a female who executive who really believed in the change in the message. So Budweiser, an alcohol company who wanted to change their base, consumer base, from the traditional
Bud Light.
Mayo,
Bud Light.
Budweiser, they're both the same company, right?
Budweiser and Busch.
And Bud Light, they're both.
Oh, Bud Light, yeah. Bud Light's just a light version of Budweiser. So, but yeah, the traditional, what Sim was saying, the traditional target audience was typical male who watches sports, maybe even a blue collar worker who just kind of is rough around the edges, right? And that's
pizza and Bud Light for football.
Yeah. Bud Light football, football. He's got his little drink cooler, right? Little thing. Yeah, he watches probably. He wants American Babe, blonde hair, blue eyes. Posters on the wall. Typical. Like frat, maybe. Like that kind of thing. And now they want to say women can drink too. Women can have fun too. Women can let their hair down, and they want to slam a Budweiser every now and then, or actually every night.
No.
But
Budweiser was supporting the trans kid on TikTok.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So that was. Do you remember the person's name?
I don't remember the person's name.
No, but there was a commercial too where it was like women were behind the creating of.
But their main thing was because I saw how I learned about it on YouTube. Because I was watching some gun channels of testing guns and people who get guns, and there was guys who were shooting all these Bud Light cans in cases. Yeah. I was like, wait, why are they shooting all these cases? And they're so angry. And then I saw that because they had the trans person activist or that TikToker on their can and their cases, and they changed trajectory in the
Dylan Mulvaney.
Yeah.
So Dylan Mulvaney is a kid on TikTok who's been kind of recording all of his trans journey, switching from being a male to a female, and he's been documenting it on TikTok. And Bud Light decided, or at least this executive at Bud Light decided that, we're going to take on this cause, and we're going to be behind Dylan Mulvaney, and we're going to try to get a whole new customer base of young woke children or kids who will now be part of our brand instead of the traditional red state American who they were previous targeting. And then their sales tanked as this news broke out that
because those people don't want to drink beer, they want to drink box wine.
So
with their cats.
So basically, that led Budweiser's sales to tumble, and they backtracked out of their position. They basically put that executive on a hiatus or suspension or something. You go back into your corner and
go meditate for a while.
Yeah, don't talk anything.
Do some yoga.
And now this is just one with Budweiser, right? Alcohol company, but there's also Target who recently started. Target, for those who don't know, is this huge national reseller of consumer everything that people would want in their household,
from groceries / home goods and clothing.
So they decided to start adopting trans clothing
for kids, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Like putting trans messages on, or LGBTQ messages on children's wear. Like making it more
so
prominent.
So they started pulling out their LGBT items days after CEO talks about inclusivity. So,
but there was a lot of people there's a lot of uproar and there's a lot of fights in the stores because of where they were.
Well, that's what they're blaming. They're
yeah.
saying, oh, the idea. So I don't believe that. I honestly believe that these things aren't selling. They're not selling. How many? There's barely a percentage of actual trans people.
No, but you know what though? To push back on that though, there's a bunch of people who are not trans who are allies. Let's be honest.
But they'll buy these.
Yes,
outfits?
The whole feminist crowd, the woke feminist, like not the traditional one because there's a class between LGBTQ, trans, and traditional feminists, right? Yeah. But the modern feminists, they love that stuff. They put bumper stickers on. They wear the shirt.
I don't think that's still enough of a base that can support an entire clothing line be across all of the United States.
I agree. I don't think there's a significant enough population to roll out a nationwide product. You know what I mean? And
so what they've done is, in order to backtrack out of the silly decision, is they've said, oh, you know what? Our workers' safety has been threatened. It may have happened maybe once or twice in a few locations.
Actually, I think it happened a lot. There's a lot of documentation. I think it happened on many stores.
Really?
Yeah, many stores.
Maybe it is.
So they said we moved the products to the back of the store. That's how they started off.
Well, imagine why though? Why wouldn't people be upset seeing that their children are being targeted with some of these clothing items? Wouldn't you, as a parent, if you're a target customer?
But that comes to the point of you have to admit that it's wrong, and they don't want to hear anybody admit that it's wrong, because when it comes to their children, they see the innocence of their children being indoctrinated with stuff that's just on their clothes, where they wanted to shop all these years, or they did shop, but the purity of people not liking it comes out because people by default know that this is something that's wrong.
Can we release a brand that's like proud to be straight and put it up
That'd
there?
be awesome. Proud to be straight.
Yeah, proud to be straight.
But see, that's the beautiful thing about Islam. We don't even announce those things. We don't care about that. We don't define ourselves by sexuality. We don't announce to everybody, hey guys, I'm straight. Like, it's such a weird time where that's going to be something that's almost a stigma. But that's between you and Allah, bro. We don't even care about that in society. Like, we care about it when it's time to get married, of course. But it's not something that we announce because it has to do with sexuality. You know what I'm saying? That doesn't even define us.
I think it's not just unique to Islam. I think it's just what society has been, right? Like, you don't find Christians running around saying I'm straight, or Jews, or it's just something that society in general understood. Yeah. Like, let's keep in mind, the world is bigger than Canada, America, and the UK, and Europe. Like, literally, like half of the world's population, more than half, lives outside those areas. Yeah. These people are a 1% of the world population. You go anywhere outside of these first world areas and you ask people how many genders there are, they're going to tell you 2, right? They're going to tell you that being a sodomite is wrong, right? You want to change your gender, you are psychologically sick according to them, right? So this is not a common theme anywhere but in the first world. Right? And so this is why they're getting pushback, because they're trying to over-represent something that is just what people are going to have a visceral reaction to. This is not just over-representing, for example, the number of, women in construction. Right? No one's going to get pissed off if you do that. Fine. They may not believe in it, but they're going to be like, oh, whatever, cool. It makes you feel better, fine. But this is an agenda. Yeah. So people are going to have a visceral reaction to this fact, right? Yeah. And that's the reality.
Yeah. And plus it has with sexuality too, and indoctrination, which makes it even more sensitive. But anyways.
Good topic, Miss Nomad, but I think we've kind of run long on this one. But remind me next time we're going to add that to the discussion point. But listen, we didn't get a chance to say this. For all you guys listening, 50 of you guys, listen. This weekend, we have been invited by ICNA to come over there and do some work and do some.
And where is
hosting.
Over there?
I'm getting to that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, you said ICNA over there. So.
Yeah, I'm getting to that. Patience. Wabashir Sabirin. Okay. So ICNA is having their annual conference in Baltimore, Maryland, at the Baltimore Convention Center. So they've been gracious enough to invite us and to call us over there to do some interviews and to make our presence known there. It looks like your boys are making some noise. So we've been invited,
Hopefully
but we need your help. In some ways, if you are coming, we'd be happy to meet you. But also, if you know any people that are interesting guests or have a message and we haven't had them on, and you know that they might be attending the conference, we will definitely entertain the idea of hosting them for a session, because they have been gracious enough to allow us to have a studio time for 2 whole days.
A setup that they have.
Yeah,
ICNA
I mean, for
has
them,
its own
right?
setup, yeah.
And we can coordinate those timings, but we're going to be interviewing some of the speakers over there as well too. But we're going to have time to interview other people that we find would be beneficial. Yeah. So if any of you guys are going to be there, let us know. Come say hi to us. Shalom alaikum. But other than that, I mean,
try to find guests that would be specifically.
Oh, Adnan Sayed. Someone just put in the chat. Thank you, Sadie.
Oh, he's gonna be there?
Well, he's from Baltimore, right?
I don't know.
Yeah.
You don't know? How do you not know?
I don't even follow the thing, bro.
But anyways,
listen, I'll be honest. Okay, I mean, Allah give that guy.
Such a boomer shit.
No, not boomer.
Okay, wait, hold on. Can we not go on this tangent?
Wait. Stop. Do you know what puts me off? Anything with Rabia Chowdhury's name next to it, I just avoid it, bro.
Yeah, but he's a good kid, though. Adnan Sayed is a good kid, right?
I might be, but I'm saying I avoid the whole topic of playing. Right, yeah. But I'm sure he's, may Allah give him, reward for being patient, whatever. And I don't know I just never really paid attention to the story. You guys did. You guys filled me in. He's innocent. He was guilty at one time. He's innocent now. Cool. But anything with Rabia Chowdhury's paw prints on, bro, I'm far away from it.
And those people who are going to find guests, make sure that they're guests that the podcast would only be Mort and Sim. Because I'm not going to lie, bro. I'm probably hoping that I can get at least 3-hour naps each day, bro.
Whatever, who cares?
Don't
listen to that nonsense. Yeah, no one says that. Yeah, he's just being dumb right now. But listen,
sleeping in hotels are awesome.
Yeah, we're way past our time, so that's when shit starts.
Yeah, he starts losing
sleeping
focus.
in hotels is awesome,
He
bro.
starts losing focus. Yeah, but I mean, the idea here is that we want to make sure that you potentially there could be an exciting guest that we couldn't get before, and you guys know him, and they might be attending to the conference, right? Because many people attend this conference. So maybe you can offer suggestions, leave them in the comments, maybe even email the madmanmalukes@gmail.com. If you have a contact with them, even better. We'd love to reach out to them and see if we can get some time in for a quick chit chat. Yeah. A little session. A little sesh.
Yeah. For anyone who's still interested in my cybersecurity course, classes or spots have almost filled up. We may have only 1 or 2 spots left. I can't say for sure, but yes, someone asked in the chat, will class be in session on Sunday evening while you're at ICNA? Yes, you are expected. If I'm going to be there, you're going to be there. Students,
mashallah,
lay down the law. Shaykh, you're going to be there too, right?
Inshallah.
Yeah. If you want more information on how to sign up, go to imranmunir.com, IMRANMUNEER.com.
So am I going to be holding on the interviews while you guys are doing your sesh?
It's only an hour and a half class.
Yeah. Only an hour and a half.
That was a great accent. I like that.
Yeah. Hold down the fort, Mort. Hold it down.
Sounds like
Fort
a
Mort.
Bud Light drinker.
Fort Mort. Anyways, listen, guys, it's getting very late for us old folks. We start to lose our mental stability after a certain time of night.
Yes, sir.
Especially being around Amir. So I think we're going to turn it over to Sim to wrap this one up.
Yeah, hopefully we'll have a lot more episodes we're going to release from this weekend. Again, ICNA Baltimore. If you're there, message us. Email us at themadmamluks@gmail.com.
Yeah.
I can't speak to my responsiveness on any other platform, but Gmail I'll usually check.
Yeah, we don't know our schedule yet, but once we do, I think we should do at least one meetup where we can chill and eat with some of the brothers, like we did in Chicago. But we don't know our schedule yet. Once we get our schedule and everything is kind of somewhat in stone, I think we could throw out a link.
However, if you guys want to bring food to our hotel room, that's even better. You can just bring it to us.
Yeah, and eat with us, bro.
We'll be happily accepting food.
Yeah, bro, eat with us, bro. That'd be dope.
Bring us food.
Yeah,
feed us.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, we'll see y'all next time. Assalamu alaikum.
That was good detail you added, brother. That's important. Bring food to the hotel. Heck yeah.
I'm glad you agreed.
Oh my god. Ethnic food, you know what I'm saying? I think there's some Somali restaurants there too. Baltimore's got some cool stuff.